faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Yes, it's Walter on this June 18th, 2017. I have not done a show or did not produce any shows in quite a while. It's probably been at least 2 weeks. It seems like forever. I'm going to say this word now because I'm going to forget how to say it later on. Pharaoh. Not like the animal, but, you know. The reason I wanted to mention it, hold on one second. I'm having some problems already with my, let's try to work with it. I hate this. I haven't done it in the show in a while, and I can't get my mic just to cooperate with me. It was a story, actually, that I saw, I forget how long ago it was, and it was kind of interesting, a little bit depressing, actually. And I saw this word. I've never heard of it before. I even know it actually existed. So, unless I just get that out of the way first. I got a dozen stories, but I'm not going to read them all. There's things I want to talk about, like even Bill O'Reilly, something about him I actually decided to break down the other day. And apparently a lot of other people are, too. There was a guy who, like me, just a week ago had signed, or a couple days ago, I signed up for Bill O'Reilly's podcast. He's been doing podcasts because he got kicked off of TV, and it's taken over because he's not doing a regular show on TV any longer. And I've always kind of thought the guy was pretty funny. He's a political conservative, but he got himself in a bit of trouble, and he got kicked off of television. So now he's just doing a podcast. It was like $50 for the year, and it was like, yeah, this isn't too bad because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing podcasts, and he does it for like 30 minutes every night during the week. Every day during the week, he does a half-hour podcast, and they're actually really interesting. But there was a guy from Lansdale who actually signed up as well, not too long after I did. It was like, wow, there was other people from around the area who had taken the same route I did. Like, hey, I've kind of liked you for years, but I haven't made the plunge into the No Spin Zone half-hour podcast. And, myself and some other people decided to, I want to use their word, which it's not the correct word to use, but ironically, we've all signed up at the same time. So I know it's not the right word, but I'm using it anyway. Again, it was Father's Day today. I'm testing the ground on a new laptop. I'll explain that in a moment too. But if you like a little bit, just because it's kind of strange how there's a different tone. Like I listen to a lot of Rush Limbaugh, and he's very hyper, and then I listen to believe it or not, Bill O'Reilly, and he's not as hyper as what you see once in a while when he blows up. They make sure you see that when the man just flips out. That becomes like Bill O'Reilly the way he is all the time, and it's not. He's actually pretty mellow. So it's a little bit of a change, but I can listen to Rush during the afternoon hours when I get out of bed because I work night shift. And then at night, coming home, since it's only 30 minutes, I'll listen to on the way home. I'll listen to his half hour of Bill O'Reilly's podcast. So now it kind of breaks it up. I'm doing a little bit of two things, not just one. I'm just trying to see because these levels look pretty low, but I think they're correct. Give me a moment. Okay, I just stepped it up a notch. That might have actually helped or made it worse because it seemed a little too low to me. it's hard because I got to figure out how to set my levels on my thing. And I will go into this, but I got this Mac Pro, and I'll explain that in a minute. I just want to get this out of the way. This one story was the top of my, it's like, okay, I'm going to cut off here on going back the last 2 weeks on stories that I wanted to mention. And I'm sorry to say that, I wasn't on, doing a podcast, but to find out that Adam West had passed away, like this past about a week ago now from when I, first saw the news on the internet about that. I was very sad about that. I don't know the man personally. I just know he was definitely a man of that I enjoyed watching for years as Batman. So he was what most people consider the first Batman, even though he wasn't. There was some serials on way before that also had some other actors who portrayed Batman before Adam West did. So, but he was the one who kind of made an impression on many people that became pretty popular, either as celebrities themselves or as directors or whatever, So anyway, yeah, it was this story I saw from the Daily Headline News. It was like the 15th. So what's today's date? I said again, it's the 18th. It was like a couple days ago. So even in that short period of time, a lot of stories piled up, and a lot of anger built up with me at work because I was working 13-hour shifts. I worked almost 70 hours the week before last, and I worked pretty close to that this past week, which included weekends, so I was not a happy camper. And I'm like beat tired. I'll just let you know now I'm extremely exhausted, but I figured I'm going to try. I was going to try to do it last night. I was like, you know what? It's Father's Day. I got some errands I want to do before I take my dad out. He ended up taking himself out, and I met with him. I got him a $50 gift card, or $60 technically, gift card for Longhorn. So he seems to enjoy that place. My mother said we'd get him one for there, he'd be happy, and he was. So happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there, even though it will be over by the time this goes up. So, again, Daily Headline News. There was a story that said police discover feral child inside an incestuous couple's trailer, then make a second horrified find. I'm kind of going to I'm not going to read these stories for say. I mean, I think there might be one or two I'm just going to kind of plunge into and read. That one caught my attention because I didn't know what that word meant. Again, if I'm not pronouncing it right, feral. It's basically a child that's been basically abandoned, completely abandoned, had no social contact whatsoever. And I found when I put in that word, trying to figure out what does that mean. I found some interesting stories, through history, recent history, where these children were abandoned by their mothers, their parents, and just left out to basically die, but survived by being nurtured by animals. And they became like, because even, I guess, what was it? There was one on the Wolf Boy. It was actually one of a woman who was basically raised by a pack of wolves. And I don't see those stories in front of me. I didn't find those. But there was one on a little baby boy and one on a girl, separate stories. Some other interesting stories where children were raised by animals, literally. And it was kind of interesting to read these or look at these stories. I don't have them in front of me again, so I can't really go into a large explanation or whatever the sources were. You can find those on your own. I just thought the whole thing was really interesting. And, it'd be worth doing some research on if you ever have the time. Since I'm not pronouncing the word right correctly, it's Feral, and they're called, feral children that basically have been abandoned in life and were raised by animals, so to speak. So it was kind of interesting to read these stories. This particular incident that I have in front of me does not have that. She wasn't raised by any type of animals, but she was just basically, this girl was completely abandoned by, ancestral and what do you call that word again? Incestuous parents. Incest. So, yeah, it's just that kind of caught my eye. Believe it or not, it wasn't like, okay, what's that mean again? Kind of deal. So I don't want to follow up with this story, but yeah, I got some really bizarre stories. Obviously, that's what my show I try to kind of consist of. Hey, by the way, for people around here, not too far from here is the Phoenixville movie theater, and they actually did open up, I guess, their extension. They brought in from the one screen that has been there since way before then, but it was used in the original movie of The Blob, and they were trying to get fundraise money to kind of brought in and put more screens in and modernize the whole theater because it's pretty popular. It has, a cult following. They show a lot of classic movies, classic horror movies as well. They have marathons, concerts, and stuff. Well, they opened it up, I think, just about a week or two ago because our neighbor next door, my parents were telling me the neighbor next door and her daughter went there to go see $3 movies. They had something, for the grand opening where they were charging only $3 for a movie. So they end up going there. I'm looking at it right now, make sure everything's okay. But what I was mentioning is I got this Mac Pro. I just got it today, actually. I ordered it last night. It was an open box from Micro Center. It's like, well, Walter, don't you have enough laptops already? Yeah, actually, I do. I did sell one to a friend. He gave me a couple $100. My friend Rich, thank you very much. He gave me the money through PayPal, which that money is going to pay bills now. And okay, I hear some noise in the background, so don't be surprised if I have to pause, because nobody talks to me unless I'm on the air. And I haven't been on for 2 weeks, so guess what? Nobody has talked to me in 2 weeks until tonight, if they do. So anyway, I got an email today. This laptop I specifically got for the sole purpose, to do a podcast on, did have a major issue when I first got it. It was used. I bought it on eBay. It was a MacBook, not a MacBook Pro, but a MacBook. It cost me a little over $800, and it was much cheaper than you will find anywhere else. Now, why did I buy it? It was like $400 cheaper than the brand new MacBook. So that right away, and it was faster, up to par, state of the art, everything's solid state. And yeah, it is extremely fast. So it was like, wow. So the major issue one major issue I did have is I got it. It did not work. Apparently the motherboard in there was bad. And I went to the Apple store because it had an extended warranty under Apple Care, which covered it. So the bill would have came to about $500-600 if it wasn't for that insurance. So I dropped it off. They fixed it. They mailed it back to me at no cost. It cost me $0 just to go over the King of Prussia Mall to an Apple store and drop it off. And they said, we're going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb, and it will come back to you as a brand new computer practically, because we will do the same quote-unquote stringent test that we do on all our refurbished products. It's like, you know what? You got yourself a deal. Didn't cost me a dime. I got it back. Well, anyway, in the meantime, when that was all, everything was going on, I just gave the person I bought it off of, which actually was not a person, it was a storefront on eBay. I said, hey, this computer told me did not work out of the box. You said it was, checked through and everything was working properly. The only thing it had going for it was it looked brand new. I mean, it looked like it wasn't even touched, but obviously it had some issues. So I told them, I said, hey, I'd love to keep this laptop. It's working now, but just to give you a heads up, there was some major, technical problems, and thank God it didn't cost me anything because I got a computer that, you sold me one that had an extended warranty on there, and it covered the cost. So I was not that upset. I was a little bit peeved, but not by that much. So I kind of let it go, and I just kept, opened a case with eBay, and I said, hey, listen, guys, just to let you know, this was not up to par, but it got fixed. I don't know if it's going to be a concern in the future. It's always in the back of my mind that this thing could break again if it broke once. And, I don't have a problem right now because it's under warranty for almost another 9 months to a year. So, and that extended warranty from Apple costs like $300, and it only lasts for 2 years. So, anyway, I got an email today from eBay. They made their decision on giving me a full refund on the laptop, and they said, all we asked for you to do, we're going to give you a full refund. You're getting 2 to 3 days. Is contact the person and figure out how you're going to send it back to them. And they should contact me, the person or company that I ordered off this laptop from. They should contact me and let me know, hey, here's a mail-in receipt. Can we have our product back since you got your money back? They're supposed to do that within 30 days. And it's like, you know what? I will hold on to this laptop until they contact me. And it's already been 2 months since I've had this MacBook, and they never made an effort. So my guess is, at this point, I could be wrong. I'm assuming, don't ever assume, but I'm going to assume that this company doesn't really care too much because it's a high volume storefront. Like they sell tons of electronics and laptops and computers and computer parts. It's going to be a waste of their time to actually get it shipped back to them. So, yeah, that's a lot of money for you and I, probably. $800 is not it's not a drop in the bucket for either one of us or anybody else out there. But probably for a high-volume store is my guess. My guess would be they're going to say, you know what? Obviously, this is probably no good to him, and it's not going to be any good for us, so we're going to have it shipped back to us, and we're going to end up throwing it out anyway. With them not realizing that I was totally honest with this storefront. I told them, listen, I fixed the problem. I just don't know it's going to be a problem in the future because Apple did fix it. They fixed it like it was brand new. So the bottom line was, hey, I'll hold on to it and I'll keep it as a backup. Or if I have to ship it back, I still have the box they send it in. I will ship it back in their box once they send me a label. But the thing is, what was today? I said today was the 18th of June. So the 18th of July, if they don't respond back, that laptop and the money that they had sent me back is going to be, basically they would have paid me, this storefront on eBay, they would have paid me for this laptop. And it's a brand new solid state MacBook. Nothing wrong with it. And I won't try to resell it. I'm not going to try to get more money from it. I'm just going to keep it as a spare laptop because, if something happens, I'll have a spare one. Now, I do have some other Apple laptops. Not that anybody really listens to me, but they're in good shape. They're just pretty slow because they use conventional hard drives. They're not solid state, and they are much slower. They're a lot heavier, much bulkier. It's like carrying a brick to me anymore because new Apple products are paper thin. Everything they make, their whole thing is to keep things as slim as possible, as light as possible, and as easy to carry as possible. So I got 2 Apple laptops that are brand new, and I got 2 older ones, which I am willing to let go at a really good price. And you're probably saying, what do you mean by a good price? I mean, like probably under a few $100s because I have one that I'll probably get for free, and I went to Micro Center today, and I got a MacBook Pro that I saw online. It was an open box. Somebody got it, and they didn't want it. And the reason people don't want the new Apple laptops is because they don't understand them. The new ones, they're paper thin. They are super fast. They are super maneuverable. And this particular Apple laptop, the MacBook Pro, comes with this new USB-C, which people can't stand because it's changing all your connectors, I'm going to say this word wrong, but I'm going to try to say it, peripherals. They changed them again. USB-C is a new standardized connector that basically I think actually Samsung uses it as well. Google uses it on their phones and other devices. Apple just started using them. It's better than HDMI, and it looks nothing like USB at all. It's actually very tiny. It's extremely tiny. So my MacBook had one. The MacBook Pro has actually 3 of these connectors. And each one of them can do everything. Like, you can basically, from that connector, you can get an adapter that will give you regular conventional USB, HD out, HD in, the whole 9 yards. You can hook up like a million things to one connector. I have 3 on this MacBook Pro. Plus, I got, like, it's a powerhouse and a piece of paper, basically, for a machine. So that machine was, I would say, about a little over $1,000. And that's a lot of money, but the thing is, I will be getting the money back from my other laptop. That money is going to go, and I'll pay this new one off right away. I won't even waste any time. I'll just pay off 3/4 of it with the $800. Now, if this company says, hey, we gave you your money back, we want our MacBook back, broken or not, we just want it back so we can kind of use it as a write-off, I won't have a problem. Just give me the label. I will have 1 laptop and 2 that I'll sell off cheap still, which are good, but they're just very slow because I don't need that many laptops. The one I did, like I mentioned earlier, I did sell 1 laptop off. It was a Star Wars limited edition. I had 2 of them. I didn't need to, so I sold one off for $200, a couple $100. And the other one I'm just going to keep for collector's reasons. I don't intend to use it, fully load it. It's decked out in Star Wars, and it's going to stay that way. It's a very nice computer. It's has Windows 10 on there. I don't like Windows that much. I don't like Apple. Not Apple. I don't like PC products that much. In fact, I don't like them hardly at all. It used to be the other way around, that I kind of liked a little bit of Apple and I liked Windows a lot. But now it has reverse, and it's going to stay that way. So, so that's my story, and I'm using it now. It's very hot in my room, by the way, with all this computer stuff. Even though everything is solid state, doesn't make it any cooler. So, using the wrong mouse. I got 2 mice that look the same. Trackball mice. I'm not talking like little furry creatures either. Here's a story I saw. There was a video attached. Now, people are claiming this has got to be fake. It can't be true. But then I couldn't find it. I couldn't pull it. It was on Facebook originally where I saw it. So it's about this girl named Cassidy, and she was claiming she was drowning, and she was without oxygen for 2 minutes. And the guy who saved her and resuscitated her, she's claiming rape charges now because it was that without her permission. So again, most people are saying this was fake on Facebook, but then there was a couple that just think she's, this is a complete wacko leftist, which she is. Young girl. So I did a Google search, and apparently she came up right away. And what came up is her claim to fame of just saying, I was raped by some guy who tried to save my life. I've never heard of anything so ridiculous. So this was my next story, by the way. Cassidy Boone sues her rescuer for rape. And this was on a different source. An article attributed to Cassidy Boone claiming she sued the man who saved her from drowning for rape was a work of fiction. So now they're saying, this was fake. But you know what? Obviously, the girl was trying to pull attention towards herself, and I would not be surprised if that ever did actually come to light. Not with her, but other women. Like, hey, you're dying there. I mean, I feel bad even for thinking about it. I feel bad for paramedics. Because if you go in and try to rescue somebody and they're out cold in a coma or unconscious, what are you supposed to do? Let them die because you're afraid if you bring them back to life that they could easily turn around, and that could happen. I'm not joking about it. They could turn around and say, well, it was without my consent. I was out. I was a victim of sexual harassment. I mean, this is how whacked out our society has become. And, even if that was just some fictional story, who's to say that won't actually ever happen? I think it will, especially in today's times with the kind of riffraff or whatever you want to call. I like to call it riffraff. The pieces of work that I gotta have in my everyday life to be right now anyway. So, hey, on a lighter note, even though it's probably not the appropriate place to put in for a next story, I'm going to have to because it's the next one that I have in front of me. Do you know that Wonder Woman, I know it's not very a big deal to most people, but I think it's pretty impressive. I know people are pushing, it's the first female director with the leading role, was a woman because it's Wonder Woman. Well, this past weekend, it made over $571 million globally. So that's actually really good because most of your superhero movies make that much. DC alone has not really made a film that's grossed as much money as Wonder Woman has. So in such a short period of time. So for the DC universe and for there possibly to be more movies to entertain us with, from the DC Comics, this will definitely happen now, at least just because of Wonder Woman being such a success. So to me, I thought that was really cool. I'm not going to go any further. I got a couple. Most of these stories, they're going to be pretty gruesome, but I got to keep on a certain, I try to keep it a certain consistency on what kind of stories I read. So if you don't like them, obviously you're not going to listen to it. By the way, it was kind of funny talking about gruesome because there are going to be plenty of stories. These are real life stories, by the way, not made up fictional movies or stories, whatever you want to call them. It was funny. I got all these horror links on my Facebook page, and there was this one actually. It was funny. They were showing all these most gory, kind of look like they're not, but like snuff material films, and the ones that seemed like I noticed it right away was one of the later Wrong Turn movies. Like the first one had Elijah Dushku, and that movie was really good. I think it was the second or third one had movie sequel. She never came back to do any other one. She just did that one. I think she was just disgusted by it. Like she would not do another one of those kind of horror films. Was actually Henry Rollins, who is a left-wing wacko. I did meet him in person. He seemed really nice, but he is very left. So if I knew that, I probably would have not gone to see him. I actually got a meet and greet with the guy, and it was like, he was polite to me, but his beliefs were just really far gone. He played in one of those Wrong Turns, and that one was a little weird, but it was actually kind of comical. But then they went to just like pure, disgusting, gross gore, ripping people apart alive, tearing them apart in different ways by these cannibalistic mongoloids who basically were inbreds, literally inbreds. Fitting every stereotype when you make jokes about people who live in the woods. So, but it got so bad, I think it was the third or fourth movie, because there's a ton of them now. I actually watched like about a few minutes of it, barely, and I had to turn it off, and I never went back to watch the rest of it, just because it was so grotesque. But here, I was watching this video of all like these gross things on this horror thing, fan club I signed up for on Facebook, and here it was one of these Wrong Turn movies, and it was one that it's almost, I don't know about you, but I know my one friend and his brother, they can't stand these people on these cyclists, who are always on the freaking road, blocking the sides of the road, almost with their bikes, riding into you, trying to get themselves killed just to, to collect, or just bottom line is they're a plain nuisance. Not to me as much, but my one friend, he goes bananas. Like, he really goes stir crazy. So, lo and behold, in this one scene they showed of these different types of horror movies was from Wrong Turn, where they mutilate pretty badly, pretty grotesquely, a guy and a gal taking their cycles in the back of these wooded areas. And literally, the girl gets her eyes, like, dagged out by a barbed wire, and then her head decapitated, and so the other guy. But these cannibals, like, literally butchered these people to death. And I was, like, telling this one friend, hey, I know how much you hate these bicyclists, how they just are always in your way. You and your brother keep on complaining about them. this is like almost poetic justice to you, where they do it almost in a tongue-in-cheek humor way, and the most glorious films ever made are these wrong turns, where they take, like, maybe they have the same kind of idea, these people who make that particular scene for that movie, like they're so fed up with these naturalist people who have to ride their bikes, to save the world and earn the fitness, that it just drives you crazy. Like my friend and his brother, that maybe those people who wrote that into that particular script did that for that reason, for like a tongue-in-cheek humor thing. That was my guess. Anyway, I'm going to probably have to speed up. I'm already actually, believe it or not, it's hard to believe for me. It's a half an hour into my show. So anyway, I'm going to read through these stories, not like read through them, to give you an idea what was out there so I can catch up. It might be another couple weeks again. I don't know until I do a next show. So I got one from the Daily Headline News. I think, it was the same source as my other story that I read earlier. Muslim refugee beat wife with a hammer upon learning what she forgot. So I'm not going to read it, but it was kind of interesting. It showed some pretty gory picture on Facebook, but it's not on the actual article. But yeah, I just can't specify enough these people, because I got a couple stories where these people who love, same people who are probably tree lovers, are also Muslim, or peaceful race. You got to stop picking on these people. They're innocent. They're being victimized. And these people take these Muslims, and this wasn't one of them. There is a story like that, what I just mentioned, that these people take in these peace-loving Muslims and end up getting themselves, like, killed, murdered. And they don't seem to learn. They never seem to learn their lesson. Like, they continue to, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with these people. They're innocent. They're, they always say, like, you don't want to stereotype people or, pigeonhole them, but sometimes you almost have to, and there's a reason why. And it's because of situations like this. I got a couple stories similar to that one. I'm not going to read it, like I said, because I got too many, and if I do, it would be like a 6-hour show. I'd shut one down. So, and I don't know if I'll find it again, because I'm not sure quite where it was at. Let me see if I can kind of figure it out. Well, I'm going to have to get back to that because I shut down some story accidentally. I'm going to read a couple headline stories, not going to read the stories themselves. The big thing, by the way, was this London Tower blaze. It's been up for the last couple days, at least last week. I don't know a lot about it, so I apologize, but you probably heard enough about it that you're probably sick of hearing about it at this point. But one of my headline stories, I'm not going to read it, but woman arrested for alleged assault of a young girl caught on camera. Very lovely. Okay, yeah. Muslim refugee beats wife with hammer upon learning what she forgot. A man was allowed to stay in the country after he beat his wife with 2 hammers when she forgot to cook him dinner. That was what it was, because she forgot to cook his dinner, so he beat her in with 2 hammers. So that makes a lot of sense. So, I don't understand why people have such a hard time about that. I think this story I shut down, by the way, that was the one that it gave you like a little bit of a glimpse. Prostitution charges against Lackawanna County business. Lackawanna. A woman is accused of running a prostitutes out of a business in Lackawanna County. It looks like Joanna Frey, 64, of Soysville, is charged with, again, running a prostitution ring. And you see this woman, if they look anything like her, you trust me, you don't want to waste your money on that. It's pretty bad. Hey, this was pretty funny to me. I thought it was actually really cool because I still have a little bit of hope for Miley Cyrus. But there was something they posted from Jimmy Fallon. It was on the New York Post, and it was actually just posted on the 15th, where they go in disguise, Jimmy Fallon and Miley Cyrus, into the subway system in New York City, and she puts on like a free show down there. She's got like a pretty bad disguise on, a bad wig and hat. Her voice just gives her away. I think it's like the second time they've done this, and it was actually really good. It says page6.com, even though it says, and it was from New York Post. But yeah, that was on my Facebook page. She actually is I still think, a very good entertainer. I can't say enough about what she can do. I can definitely say enough about what she shouldn't be doing, but, whatever. So that was worth checking out. I would recommend it. Some story I'm going to have to actually open up on one woman I always loved for years, Olivia Newton-John. I have no clue what it's about. I just saw it now, so I'm going to look at it right now. She's been in floods of tears and can barely believe it's happening. Cancer-stricken Olivia Newton-John left devastated following daughter Chloe Lazinia's, I can't say that last name, social media meltdown. Well, her daughter is hot. Looks kind of fake large breasts and stuff. I don't know what it's about. I thought it might have been something like, oh, please don't tell me that now Olivia Newton-John passed away, because I probably would be upset about that. Don't ask me why. I think I would. Pretty soon I'm about to turn on my fan. It's getting extremely hot in my room from the electronic components all working at the same time. Daily Mail, there was a story, that gunman, that was another thing I was off for, the gunman who had shot, the Republicans at that baseball practice, the Republican Party. This guy went AWOL and started shooting at these Republicans. There was a story from the Daily Mail that says baseball gunman had a foster daughter, 17, who committed suicide by dousing her body in gasoline and then lighting herself on fire. So that's a real shame. I mean, this guy was a nutcase. I feel bad for the daughter. She was adopted. Maybe she was just devastated on his nuttiness, which I think he had for a long time. Obviously, because from what I understood, this guy was nuts from listening to all this social media crap, and then all these TV networks that are just anti-Trump, beyond belief. And they basically are denying that they had anything to do with it, sparking up this guy. But I hate to tell you, this stirring up these loose cannons would not happen if you did not influence people in such a manner that would make them want to, have these outbursts, like this nutty guy who ended up shooting people from the Republican side just because he believed everything he saw on the television networks and this social media bullshit. So, alrighty, I want to keep this under an hour. It's funny because Bill O'Reilly, his podcasts are only 30 minutes. He keeps them within under a half an hour. I can't. I never can. I try to, but it never works. Anyway, I got a lot of stories. I didn't realize this from Daily Headline News. This should be the third one. Muslim refugee. Oh, wait. Oh, no, this is a different one. Muslim, this was on the 15th of June. Muslim refugee beats wife with hockey stick this time. Smiles in court and says 6 horrific words, which I don't even know what they are. Again, because I'm going to run out of time if I dig through the story to find what those 6 horrific words were. He was a Syrian refugee, by the way. Yeah, I can't find it. So anyway, another story of a refugee or a Muslim who has beaten someone because he is entitled to do so. So there you go. And again, that was from Daily Headline News. I'm not doing this. It's just the way they come up. Okay, here's a different story. Finally, something different. And by the I'm going to read this first. Fisherman catches a two-headed porpoise in New North Sea. I can't figure out what the fuck it is, though. That's the weird thing. I have no idea what it's supposed to be. Like, is it a dolphin or what? Because I can't figure out what the freaking thing is. So, but it's got two heads. That I know. I guess it is a two-headed dolphin, so it's pretty weird. Speaking of which, I'm like a big shark fan. There was that 50 meters or whatever came out this week, and I wanted to go see it, which I'm not, obviously. Now it's 10 o'clock my time, and by the time I'm done my show, it's going to be much later. So I think it's next year, probably not until August of next year. I heard a lot about it, so they're finally starting to film it and put it together. It was based upon some fictional book. Is this movie about a megalodon? It's called Meg. They got as a movie poster, and they got the leading actor and actress. But other than that, there is nothing no other thing I can say about it. Just be a science fiction thriller horror movie about a megalodon coming out next August. It's not even August of this year, so it's going to be a year from this August when the movie comes out. I think that was the date. So anyway, let's see. Daily Mail, I have a story. Hero homeowner holds two escaped Georgia inmates at gunpoint until police arrived to arrest the duo 3 days after they murdered two guards and went on a 3-state rampage. So that was kind of interesting because the whole thing about this story was, they want to take guns out of people's arms. They think that the people who possess a firearm are usually hillbillies and wackos and stuff like that. Well, this guy was able to capture two inmates, again, who, because I saw a couple different articles on this, who had killed two guards, prison guards, and had escaped and were, the only way they got captured was by a civilian who was able to capture these two monsters. So there's a lot to be said about that. Here was a funny story, by the way, from Fox6nownews.com. Woman sues casino that offered her steak dinner instead of what she had won, which was $43 million. A $43 million jackpot. So it kind of reminds me, because I've been watching Twin Peaks, something similar happened on that show, kind of a little bit weird like this. Well, this woman won a jackpot for $43 million, and the casino didn't want to pay out, so they offered her a steak dinner instead, and she's now suing the casino. There's something not quite the same, but very similar on... if you keep up with the new Twin Peaks. It's gotten a little bit like, because they showed you, they marathoned, you could marathon the first 6 episodes, and now they slowed it down to 1 episode a week, because Showtime does want to make money off of people. If they show all 18 episodes, which are supposed to be for at least this one-time deal, I don't know, of Twin Peaks, to return to Twin Peaks, they're going to have a lot of people cancel out right away. So they're, like me, going to make sure I hold in there for the next couple months. And by doing that, they're going to make sure the milk this for all they can. Because this Twin Peaks has actually helped Showtime get new subscribers for now. So I'm not doing a very good job. I'm down to 20 minutes. New York Post. I'm going to sneeze in a moment, so I apologize if you hear me sneeze. Some of these stories are really funny. They're entertaining. Kinky cop fighting to keep job after dominatrix past revealed. So this woman cop had a past history of doing these sexual bondage things. And yeah, she made some steamy R-rated bondage videos from 2010 to 2012. And now she's in a little bit of a hot water herself because of that. It came out. So that was on New York Post. Keeping these stories simple and straight to the head from the headlines is all, trying to get, because there's enough of them. It's like 20 minutes worth of just headline news. New York Post again. Creepy yoga instructor arrested for having sex with a teenage girl who was, I read a part of this. He's 58. She was 16 years old. Now, I'm not going to say I have a problem with this or I don't have a problem. My problem is you read more stories like this where if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a female that was 58 having sex with a 16-year-old boy, it would be a slap on the wrist and it would not be titled creepy. It would be like hot woman had sex with 16-year-old boy. It would man. They wouldn't even say boy. They would say man. You know, so the way these stories are shaded is, you know, almost the same way they do with the stories on Trump and the Democrats. Like, you know, if it's a Democrat, the stories are, you know, not talked about. Like this guy who did the shooting, by the way, at the baseball stadium where the Republicans were practicing, you didn't hear anything about that. Or you heard very little. It kind of got glossed over and it got replaced with, well, Trump's still under investigation. But if it's something, a scandal, a sex scandal with the Democrats, you don't really hear anything or you get it boasted by the press. And it's the same thing with these sex scandals with these adults having sex with kids. You won't hear about it unless it is, it's going to be worded in a different slant depending if it's a male or female. And it's just a fact. I'm sorry. It's not even me speculating. I think that's a fact. I could prove that one. Anyway, Daily Mail. Woman breaks down in tears as she was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for sending her boyfriend text messages encouraging him to commit suicide. There's like half a dozen stories on that one from every different source. I don't know what to say. The guy was an idiot, and the fact that she was able to manipulate him that much, yeah, she's going to serve 2 years in jail. That's what they said, but that probably is going to come down to, I hate to say it, but a wrist slap. It generally is. It's just going to tarnish her. Not really, but it's going to tarnish her reputation, so to speak. Okay, another Daily Mail story. Family's fury as neighbor from hell avoids jail after beating grandmother black and blue on her 80th birthday because her pensioners' friends were making too much noise. And they show pictures of this poor woman. She looks like horrendous. She is truly black and blue. This 80-year-old woman got beaten up by someone, a neighbor. They said neighbor from hell. On her 80th birthday. What a way to celebrate your 80th birthday, is getting beat the shit out of by a next-door neighbor who's a whack job. Let's see. Michael Rain, it looks like his name is. They don't give his age. He doesn't look that old. I'll tell you, he looks like he's probably in his 20s. I don't know. I'm just guessing. And I'm running out of time because it's 10:08 my time, and I got 15 minutes left. I'm just going to, again, I've been reading just titles, and give my opinion on things. But it was a one wacky story. I see this dude with boobs, breastfeeding some baby. And it was like, okay, it's got to be a transgender. And it is titled My Brother's Pregnancy and Making of a New American Family. It is just too long even to pull little sources out. So I didn't really want to read this. It was in front of me, so I just figured I'd mention it. But it's pretty disgusting looking in my opinion. I have a story from Daily Headline News again. 6 years after man rapes 8-year-old little girl, she carries out her revenge, and basically what she does is she stabs the guy. When she's old enough, she goes back and she gets her revenge. That's almost like I spit on your grave, I think. A judge offered to pay legal fees for a 15-year-old girl after she stabbed a pedophile who abused her as a child. The 15-year-old girl stabbed 56-year-old Zubaloyo Buddha, it looks like, a convicted pedophile who sexually assaulted her as a child. So hey, good for her. You know, she got her revenge. I'm not justifying it, but you know, sometimes maybe this is what you need to do to stop people is, you know, show them that, hey, you can't get away with shit. This is what I've been saying for the longest time, by the way. And this goes for the slap on the wrist with the females. You gotta really not stab them to death, but you gotta really put it in there and say, listen, you can't do this shit. You put them in, you know, give them a life sentence, and, well, one, they won't be out in the streets to do it again, and two, this won't be an issue because the next person might think twice before they do the same kind of criminal act. I'm just saying. Anyway, this is a commercial thing, but it was on Facebook, and it really caught my attention, so it really intrigued me. It's called Dermacol, some foundation, and the reason I'm talking about that, and it kind of makes you question it now too. It's a cover-up makeup that women can use for covering up imperfections. And what they used is covering up tattoos. And it was like, wow, I thought it was actually, they show like this person who had tattoos all over their body, and they put this stuff on. I thought it had taken the tattoo off, and it doesn't wash off. But what it does, it's a makeup cover that really does cover anything, literally anything. So I saw this and was like, wow, this stuff really is intriguing, because I normally don't put commercials on my, you know, advertisements, I mean, on my Facebook page, but I saw that one. I was like, you know what, this is got to be talked about. So I'm talking about it now. Now, here is a story I found from MediaTakeout.com. I still can't make sense out of it, but it says, shock crime, female driver is under criminal investigation after she is on video giving her man top. It was like, okay, what's that mean? While she's driving on the highway. Wow, that's dangerous. Bottom line, in Walter's terms, what she did was she was given her, quote-unquote, this was June 16th of this year in Florida, she was giving her man a blowjob while she was driving a car. And people noticed this, and they called the cops. So she got pulled over, and she was being videotaped while she was doing this act of oral sex. So they don't kind of go that far, because I'm like scratching my head. I was like, what the fuck are you trying to say? This story makes no sense at all. And then it was like, it finally, like, I'm trying to dig through what their double speak was, and I kind of figured out what it was all about, and shows some picture of this woman's face blotched out, who was giving oral sex to her man while she was driving. So that's great. I mean, I already deal with enough idiot drivers. Now I got to deal with idiot drivers giving blowjobs to their man. So that makes it even more angry. Okay, here was a story, again, with these Muslim things that I was telling you about. They had some pictures, and they have a story. It was titled, and it's from Patriot Journal. Lefty journalist takes in Muslim refugee. Guess what happens next? This one I kind of read when it first came out. The guy basically treats her like a piece of shit and a housemaid. This woman, she's a journalist, takes in this Muslim refugee, and the guy basically says, you have to cook and clean for me. You are like my mother, which in his country, they treat their mother like dog shit. So he basically said, I'm entitled to, in so many words less, and this guy's name was, by the way, was Mohammed. I can treat you like shit because you're a woman, and you have to accept it. And he basically destroyed her home as well. So I'm putting this in like as quick as possible. I don't want to read this thing, but I did read it earlier during the week because it is getting up towards an hour. And I got like 20 other stories. I'm just going to read the titles too. New York Post, politician admits he fondled a 103-year-old mother-in-law's breast. A former Pennsylvania politician has been convicted of indecent assault after admitting that he had fondled the breast of a 103-year-old mother-in-law suffering from dementia. Way to go, dude. So I'm not going to go any further. Co-ed faces 2 years after a line about rape. This is something that's going to be on the rise because they say that women are convinced they're being raped on campus, even though majority of the people on college campuses anymore, about 70% of them, are females. A former college student in Connecticut who is accused of faking rape allegations against 2 football players in an attempt to gain sympathy from another man is facing 2 years in prison under a proposed plea bargain. So there you go. And there was a couple stories on that one. And I was right because my next story from the Daily Headline News is the exact same story. And another story from the Daily, a different one, on the same subject again. On a lighter note, Selena Gomez had put out a new video, which was kind of funny, where she plays all these different parts. She looks like a 12-year-old still. She's like in her early 20s. I think she's like 24 or something. She makes some video out of a song she made called Bad Liar. And the video is kind of entertaining, but it says from this article, BuzzFeed, they called it a Jerry Springer Esquire plot. And it's very entertaining for the fact she plays like her father, a father figure, and some gym teacher who is having an affair with her father, who's a teacher at the same school. And she's playing a student, and she's dressed in this get up from like a 70s kind of look. But the problem is, all the different characters she plays, they all look like 12-year-olds. And she's like, she still has that little kid look to her face. I guess that might be a blessing, because when she gets in her 30s, 40s, and so on, if she still looks 20 years younger, she's going to really love it. I don't know how she feels about it now. But yeah, she literally looks like she should be in like middle school. She looks like a little kid, and she's got this mustache on and a wig trying to play her father, and it looks so entertaining. I don't want to say it is hilarious. It's funny because she looks like a little kid trying to dress up like an adult. So nothing against her. I love Selena Gomez. I think she's a great entertainer, but I think she's cursed with looking like a little kid. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm telling you, there really isn't. Especially if you're a pedophile. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, she does. She looks like a little kid. So anyway, it was funny. Bloody Disgusting, now get this, has a story on Gene Simmons where he is attempting, it's what's titled, Gene Simmons is attempting to trademark the ionic devil horns hand gesture, saying like he's the one who initiated that whole thing. The man is worth more money than he ever will know what to do with it all. And yet he's trying to find a way to cash in now on the devil horn hand gestures, saying that that's his motto or his slogan, that's his trademark. So you can't even do that because Gene Simmons wants to cash in on that now. I think that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I don't even think it's a joke. I think it's for real. Fox 6 News, there was a story. Virgil held... Virgil, is that... No. It looks like Virgil held for a 1-year-old girl fatally beaten by mother's boyfriend. Bottom line is, there was a story in Milwaukee. A 14-month-old little girl was beaten to death earlier this month. Her mother's boyfriend is facing charges of related to the death. So this boyfriend beat a little 14-month child, a baby, to death. I mean, there is too many stories like that I seem to stumble upon. So I got to lighten the mood. This one's funny. Trust me, it's really funny. It was on today.com, like the Today Show. There's a story that says a startling number of American adults think that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. That just shows you, 48% of adults surveyed admitted to not being sure of where chocolate milk comes from. 48% of who they surveyed believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Oh my God, that is crazy. That's funny that people are really that stupid. You know what that the 48% is, though, by the way? That's called the Democrat, what do you call it? The Democrat voters. I can't think of the right word I was trying to look for. So, uneducated voters. Okay, here is an interesting story from the New York Post, and I am using that word very tongue-in-cheek, I guess. It's not even funny. It isn't. It's an hour already. Psycho who chopped up woman with chainsaw, he's gloating about it. It's a guy who he says it felt great. Shocking news video shows a sicko who dismembered a woman with a chainsaw, telling a judge he's never felt better and he's not sorry for the grisly crime, all in front of the victim's weeping family. So this was Michigan man Brenton Lee Walker, 55, bragged to the courtroom Monday he felt victim vindicated about shooting a 42-year-old Heather Young and hacking up her body and burning it. It was because she reminded him of his ex-wife. It goes on to other stuff, a liar, dope friend, whatever. I don't care. The story is just, I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to shut down. I will look. I got a text from somebody. I have no clue who it is, so I don't really care. Okay, Fox29.com. Parents heartbroken after 3-year-old daughter dies at the dentist. See, I never had a problem with the dentist. I had a dentist. We had a family dentist for years, which I have no trust in. I haven't had any trust in. So I think he was actually like the dentist in that horror movie where he was trying to break our teeth, not actually correct any issues. So, and I apologize because I actually ran over an hour, so I'm going to have to just kind of cut these stories to the titles. So I'm so sorry. Giant 132-year-old lobster. I didn't know they lived that long. Released after 20 years in captivity. Well, 20 years to that thing is probably nothing. It doesn't look that big. It looks like an average-sized lobster. I didn't know they lived that long. Louis the lobster is believed to be 132 years old. One guy's holding this poor guy, this lobster. This man's holding the lobster. It's kind of weird. I didn't know lobsters live over 100 years. Looks great for its age, I'll tell you that much. How can you tell when it doesn't get wrinkles? It has an external, skeletal system, so you can't tell. TMZ, there was a couple stories, by the way. I'm just going to read this one real quick. Carrie Fisher died of sleep apnea, coroners now say. So I don't know what the whole story was behind that. But yeah, they're saying she died. She did die of a heart attack, I believe, but the heart attack was caused by her sleep disorder, not getting enough sleep. And I question, because when I was working all these long hours, it's definitely taken a toll on my body, in many different ways. Because you're not sleeping proper. You're not sleeping the proper amount of time. I was sleeping for like 3 hours a night, 4 hours a night, and going back to work again for 13, 14, 16 hours. So it's hard. New York Post real quick again, because it's after an hour. UN wants an explanation for the North Korea releasing the student who is now in a coma. This has been another one that's been really big, that North Korea put this guy who went over, a civilian American who went over to the over to Korea, and came back in a coma. I think he was held for 2 years or something like that. He was a student, American student. It was something like that. I thought it was 2 years. I'm not seeing it right now. And again, I'm just over on time. This was on June 16th. There was a couple stories on that one, actually. So I'm just going to go through these. Funny thing you may want to check out. I know my one friend thought it was pretty funny. MTOnews.com. Embarrassing. Nicaragua woman track star loses her hair wig. It pops off when she jumps. She's like one of these long distance runner, jumpers, whatever you call it. And yeah, long distance jump. And she's a cute girl, but I didn't even realize she has like no hair. She's got her hair cut down to like a buzz cut, like what I have. But you couldn't tell because she had this long-haired wig on, which I'm surprised she actually even wore it. But when she did the jump, it literally flew in the air with her. It like flew right off her head. So it was pretty funny. It's pretty funny. I felt bad for her. Fox 5 news story. Man shoots cyclist from car to blow off steam. The man is like a 19-year-old kid. And I question this all the time. That's why I like a car around me, not a motorcycle, because I have a friend who has one. It's like, dude, I don't want one. It's bad enough of all these nut jobs on the road. A 19-year-old has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and a second-degree felony, according to the Austin Police Department. Merritt David Isaacs has been arrested after and charged after finding a shotgun he fired a shotgun at a cyclist from a car so he could blow off some steam. Very, very smart dude. Real quick, Los Angeles lights a bat signal for Adam West when that had happened. The date was June 16th. So that was only a few days ago, the announcement of Adam West, passing away, unfortunately. So sorry for that loss of Adam West, because he was definitely very good entertainer. Real quick, Daily Mail had a story. How did I do as a... Well, never mind. I can't read this title, but Lady Gaga actually makes some money for one of her causes, Born This Way Foundation. I think it's for children. She actually worked behind the counter in Los Angeles as a cashier at a Starbucks. It was kind of cool. They showed the video. I thought it was pretty neat. Lady Gaga says, when I got past the part I couldn't read, Lady Gaga works at a Starbucks for a day while promoting drinks she helped create for charity. Yeah, it's for a charity for children, I believe, Born This Way. So very cool. It has some cool pictures. Let's see. I'm trying to get through these stories. I really am. From GodBlessTheUSA.com, or no, ZootFeed.com. An altered sign pops up in liberal New York overnight. 2 words leave Trump haters livid. So somebody put up a sign, an interstate sign, titled Crooked Hillary Exit South 1 West. It is the funniest sign. It is a real sign. It is no joke. Somebody actually did post that up. Daily Mail, another story. Sex crimes by migrants in Germany have doubled over 3,000 in a single year, official figures show. A new report by Germany government shows 3,404 sex crimes involving migrants. In 2015, there was 1,683 crimes, which range from less serious attacks to rape. This comes after a number of migrant criminal suspects in Germany soared by more than 50% in 2016. So there you go. But they're innocent people. Remember that. So remember that that this is all made up, right? Not. Hey, it was pretty funny. The other day, I'm watching a marathon in the background, believe it or not, of Married with Children, and some of those were pretty hot, like really hot. But talking about like heated shows, and I'm not going to say what network was on. They actually did a marathon on 2 other shows I watched growing up. One was Alice, was a pretty popular show back in the day, The Waitress. And the other one, believe it or not, which I never was a big fan of, was, and I said her name wrong, was the character, or the woman actress, was from Three's Company, and it was the blonde who played the nurse. You know, she took over for Chrissy Snow, was it? And I never thought she played the character of Terry. And her name was I said that I told some friend in a couple messages. He never calls me back, so I really don't care. I said it was Priscilla Presley. It's actually Priscilla Barnes. Now, I thought when Priscilla Barnes had taken over for, for the character Chrissy on Three's Company, I thought she was like okay. I thought she was average, and I thought she was really unattractive when I saw her in Mallrats with the third nipple deal going on. I thought that was really stupid, and I thought she is the most unattractive looking woman I've ever seen. Well, there was season 8 of Three's Company. She looked so incredibly hot that I almost had to take like screenshots. I actually got so desperate, I found the episode. It was one where Jack Ripper gets $1,000 out of an ATM that was broken, like it to spit money out at him. And she looked so hot, though. Priscilla Barnes, I mean, she looked beyond hot. She had on this pink bikini that was so small it barely covered her body. Well, it was a bikini. And her body looked so incredibly hot. Her face, everything about her looked so hot that I barely got through the episode. I literally barely got through the episode. I almost destroyed the house trying to, like, keep calm. I mean, she looked beyond, like, hot. And it was like, that is the same actress that I, appalled for years, or I didn't like. I didn't think she was that hot looking. She looked beyond hot. And that bikini, they made sure to put in a couple different parts of the show, but she was showing ass and, boobs, the whole 9 yards, and it was barely covering her body. And it had like one of those wire cups that's made her breasts look even better yet. They had her flaunting around showing off her body, and they just lit her so well that I was lit up. I mean, I'm not even kidding. It was beyond hot. And then to top it off, they did the next episode, because they were running these in order on its network. She's got on this top where her nipples are showing through this cleavage top she had on in another episode. I mean, you literally were seeing headlights. And I was showing something else. But I was like, oh my God, this is the same actress, Priscilla Barnes, which I never really thought was that attractive. And I think didn't she play in Devil's Reject as well? I think. I can't remember now. But I never thought of her as being like a sexy woman until now. I want to buy like more of these episodes of, what do you call it? Yeah, I want to buy more of these episodes because it was like, oh my God, this is beyond hot. This is like really, really, she looked like 20 Kleenex, 100 Kleenex. I'm not even kidding. Folks, have a good night. This is Walter from iWalter. And I'm going to sign off and not tell you what I'll be doing for now. But I will be back. I don't know when. So, hey, have a good night. This is Walter from iWalter. Have a good one.